On today's DNVR Nuggets podcast, we're going to take a look back 5 years ago. What were people saying about Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets? What did they get right? What did they get wrong? And then, to not learn anything from those lessons, we're going to make our own predictions about the next 5 years. This is DNVR Nuggets. Everybody. Little Tuesday. Six more off-season shows, fellas. Six more.
Hey.
What is everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go.
Live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota store. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Fun show. I will say, off-season, man. We always talk about this. I get jazzed when I get something comes to me where it's like, all right, I like this. This will be fun. That's how I felt this morning driving in.
Oh, okay.
Energized.
You seem energized.
Yeah, man. The fall of all sports around us has really lifted the Nuggets up by comparison.
I know.
It's so true. It's so true. It's like the oil and water. What happened? Yeah, the oil comes down so the water rises. That's
We
how
need
it
the
works.
Nuggets more than ever.
More than ever.
In this
Are we still live?
time
Yes.
in our lives.
Someone messed with my text settings. So
By the way, welcome back, Kale. I love it. That is like
Super
driving a car
producer.
when like your wife takes your car, and then all of a sudden everything's all messed up. That's like Kale right now.
Mainly
at the
just the
controls.
seat.
Yeah, it's all,
Seat's
the
a lot
seat is the
closer.
word. Yes, the
Yeah.
seat. Yeah.
Mirror's a little messed up.
Here, the man with the wind behind his hat, Harrison Wind.
Fellas, Am I ready for the season?
No, but you asking that tells you.
I was thinking about it. I might be ready for the season. Am I?
You know what? I'm ready for the preseason. I'm ready for
I think
media
that's
day.
correct, yeah.
The season
I
still.
might not be ready for the regular season.
No.
Preseason, I could handle right now.
A man who always has preseason energy, D-Line Co.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm actually done with sports. I don't know that I'm ready for basketball season. I think I'm just ready to be maybe I'll be a political guy. What do you guys think? Let me try out some of my thoughts here.
That's the angriest guy in the world, politics
Dude.
guy. If you replace sports with politics, you're happy to go way down.
I was just talking to somebody the other day. I mean, it's just this is obvious, but it's like sports are the great uniter and politics are the great divider.
Yeah.
It's so we're looking forward to that. Let's go.
It should be an enthralling couple of months here. We're going to get to some of these past predictions that you guys will find somewhat laughable. There's some pretty interesting past predictions.
Are there any of ours?
I did not go through our own.
We should have.
That would have been.
I think we would have.
good
We would have
topic.
come out smelling like roses.
Well, 5 years ago, was the old Lakewood office sitting on the floor. It's wild to think. When I was doing this 5 years ago, to me doesn't feel that far, but it really was the exact cutoff where the Nuggets were still in the shadow. They were 3 months away from being out of the shadow. So you go back 5 years, it's hilarious.
Bro, that was the time when it was you literally could not find them.
Yeah.
They weren't on TV and there weren't,
Yeah.
we didn't have the great infrastructure of pirating sites that we do now.
Yeah, the infrastructure's really grown leaps and bounds.
It's so true. And you guys can play along with us when we start to make predictions. I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say. But first, we have to get to our top story, which is actually 2 weeks old, Eric.
Okay.
There's a rumor.
Peak off-season top story.
It's from 2 weeks ago. There is a rumor that the Nuggets' jersey
I've
this
seen
year is the 5280 jersey.
Yeah.
But how could we make it worse?
Make it white.
Make it white.
Yeah, this is what they do, right?
Do you have it, Kale? Do you have the jersey? This is a mock-up, by the way. This is that Casey
Vitale. Yeah, he always. This
White
guy
Pride
is
2.0.
He's usually right, though.
This guy is plugged in. He's got some. Usually he works. As I understand the way he describes it, he gets text descriptions of what the direction is, and then he just mocks it up based off of that.
And then says it's a prediction.
And if
he says this is
An informed prediction, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's legit, but I mean, this is what they do, right? I think it's such a heavy lift to come up with a new design that you've noticed each time they come out with one, they do it at minimum 2 years. They just make the colors different. So I'm sure that this is the direction they're going. I'm sure it's depressing to me as well, but I think that this is actually, in a lot of ways, an improvement because you can see the mountains. And then the last one, you literally could not see the mountains, and so
It was a nighttime skyline.
It was a nighttime skyline where there are no lights.
This is daytime.
This is daytime, so at least you like the 5280 and the mountains sort of work together a little bit more. You could like trick yourself into saying that the 5280 could be the skyline against the mountains.
You could. I don't know if I would say that, but you could.
I mean, I'm just saying like
gotta
these
trick
feels
yourself.
a little bit more cohesive as an idea. We'll see if this is. I would bet a lot of money that this is it.
Oh God.
But it's whatever. We're in the 5280 era, dude.
Dude, I love how you resigned you are to this.
Too.
Yes.
5
Broncos
years ago,
corner.
if you would have said whatever to something you don't like I can't imagine it. This is sad, actually. I wish you were more mad.
Well, I mean, I got really worked up about this 5280 last year, and it's like how can I be even? I mean, everyone knows my feelings on this. I feel like it's deeply cliche, super unimaginative, comes from designers that do not have any connection to the area. And you know what like frustrates me the most now, and like I feel like I specifically can speak on this, is that I actually go to cities around the country and design infrastructures of visual.
Right.
I actually make things for other cities that they embrace.
Right.
Like nobody to this point has ever been like, what the fuck is this? Because
Right.
I'm like, actually, I go to the place, I talk to the people, I kind of like go around, I like get feedback. And this just feels like in Portland, Oregon, they were like, what are they like?
Growler.
5280. Yeah.
We got like one person that's
IPA.
assigned to like 8 teams, and they just kind of bust them out on a 2-week timeline.
I
or
mean,
something.
whatever. Like, I get it is a big lift doing this amount of work to come out with all new designs. I think it's like more a failing in the direction of just the idea that they have to come up with new stuff all the time because it's just like clearly a business
Right. Yeah.
objective more than a culture one, sadly. But, whatever. We'll see. Whatever, dude.
We do have these conversations, even like us, part of a business. There's some talk sometimes of like, well, what if we just doubled that and did it twice as much? It'd be like, well, it'd be half as good, but we might get 25% more numbers. And obviously, I think we make good decisions there. But
yes,
corporations often will just do like,
I
all
know,
right,
dude.
just keep doing it until it runs out of
But
steam.
anyway, I know you're listening, Josh Kroenke. I know you're watching. Like, I'm available, man. Like, let me submit a concept.
It would be the biggest dub ever, man. For the Nuggets, not for us. I'm saying for the Nuggets.
Like, let me submit a concept. I'll put all of my heart and soul into it, but not until I get, like, I'm not going to do it for nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, there was such bad feedback on these last year. It's kind of crazy they're rolling and running back with it again, unless it was like a skyline situation where they knew they were going to do
100%
3 iterations of it in the future. That's the only thing.
Oh, God, are we getting
it could be,
another
because
one?
everybody hated these. Nobody likes these.
Yeah, but they sold though, man. I see a lot of them.
I mean, everything sells. It's just fun. Like, we're in the Nuggets are in a window. They are cool. They are like anything Nuggets is like suddenly in vogue. And well, right. But this, you can cut at them.
Yeah.
Like cut at the concept. So anyway.
Yeah. So we might get a third one because we got the red. Remember, we got the skyline black, then white, then black, and then red, which was like
Red would be like global warming version.
Yeah, I feel like this is the red version to me personally, where I'm like, one, you've kind of won me over to the side of white jerseys. Like, you really got to nail them, otherwise don't do it.
It's like,
so to have 2 white jerseys is like, all right.
3.
And I loved the white jersey that was the one they didn't do multiple version of. It was the Captain America one.
Yeah.
The pickaxes that were red, white,
the
blue that
earned
were
one, right, yeah.
gorgeous. And they only did one. I would have totally loved a blue version of that or, different iterations. But, maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
As long as they don't get rid of the Mile High City jerseys, the day those go away will be a sad day for us.
Can I give you like one piece of free advice? You don't have to pay me for this. Make a jersey with Maxi on it. Just put Maxi on a jersey. Man.
Everybody
Like,
wants it.
Everybody wants it. Like, you don't even have to just have the same guy do it and replace 5280 with Maxi, and like everyone
All of
would
a sudden
go
it's
crazy.
cool.
Yeah. Dude.
I put a video out on social yesterday. I got a new toy to play with.
God.
I'm very excited for this year to be able to share some different data and different videos and stuff. But I was going through and I was watching Jokic Sombor Shuffles. I think he had 9 last year, and I might have missed 1 or 2 that he made. I think
That's it?
Well, I think he took like 30. His percentage was about 30% on him, which is kind of like sometimes you don't want to know the numbers because it's such a cool shot that you don't want to know that it's actually pretty inefficient.
I would guess 30% is better than he shot in past years, though.
Well, the thing about
I feel like he's getting better at it.
The thing about it is that they're almost always desperation. So you almost have to think of these as like fall-aways. He would probably shoot 30% on a fall-away.
Right.
So these are, as a desperation shot, it's pretty good. But it made me think, do you think we're getting more or fewer Sombors going forward? Have we reached peak Sombor?
That's an interesting one. I feel like we could get more going forward because I mean, I actually don't really know.
I know this is a tough one too. I couldn't.
I'm hoping we get more going forward.
I'm
hoping he gets better at it.
I'm shocked at that number. That is surprisingly
low. It does
low
feel low
for a signature shot with a name that we talk about all the time, and 9 of them went in.
I mean, yeah.
That's insane.
Maybe it was.
What are we doing?
Let me look it up here because I don't want to get it wrong. It might have been. It might have been slightly more than that. It might have been 11.
I mean, that's such a woefully low number. I feel like he does it every game. It turns out no.
I mean, the fewer would be probably better for the Nuggets.
Yeah.
But you get such a jolt when a Sombor Shuffle goes in.
I know.
It can change the momentum of things.
Yeah. Interesting. I think it's probably going to go down. Like, it's been a thing, and it's not getting better. It's not happening more often. I can't imagine we're going to get a big influx. Even though we'd love it, man, I love what's better than every time he shoots it, we're like, oh, and then apparently it never goes in. Apparently it never goes in. Maybe we should be mad when he takes them.
No, they're so good though because they're worth. It's like a Steph Curry. This is a little bit like Steph Curry's logo threes or something. Where I know he's had his years where he's hit 45%, but there's also a lot of years where he shoots 30-something%, and it's like that where it's like they're worth 8 points. A Sombor's worth 8 points.
I mean, especially if it's in a big moment. I mean, it's a dagger if it goes in like in a fourth quarter.
Absolute dagger, breaks your soul, makes you. I mean, Anthony Davis is the one that the most like he has so many of against him that Anthony Davis. They had one this year where you could just tell Anthony Davis was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? This guy always makes Sombors against me."
If he only did it against the Lakers, that'd be kind of cool.
Oh, it's like.
So wait, are you only counting ones that are behind the 3-point line?
No, outside the paint. So there might be some that are in that painted area.
I can't believe this number, dude. It's so low.
It's killing his 3-point percentage.
9?
9 made. I mean, like I said, it was like 30.
Speaking about Jokic's 3-point percentage, I actually wonder what it would be if you took out all the desperation shots.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if it might be like 38% or something if you took out the desperation ones because he's the one taking them usually.
Yeah.
He's getting the grenade.
It's so true. He's so good at the grenades, though, man.
Right. So I actually wonder if his 3-point percentage is a little better than we actually think.
Is Jokic better than we think every day on the DNVR Nuggets show?
And is Jamal back?
Is Jamal back? The other number I found and I put out on social was that Michael Porter Jr. has the second highest release point of any 3-point shooter in the NBA. Almost as high as 7'5" Victor Wembanyama. He's 0.04 inches lower than Victor Wembanyama on his release. Now, this happens because his release is up high normal. He jumps unbelievably high, and he's 6'10", 6'11". So he has a lot to work for, but he jumps the 16th highest of all players in the NBA when he takes threes. And on top of that, he's 6'10" and has a high release. So he is closer to Victor Wembanyama's release than he is to Bol Bol's or Kristaps Porzingis or Kevin Durant or any of these other 3-point guys that you would think would be higher. To me, it's one of the most underrated things about him.
Yeah. It's unblockable.
It is. That's what we've talked about for years, is that he really should, by all rights, be able to get his shot off against anybody. Maybe not Victor Wembanyama, but
it's the one guy that could contest him.
Everybody else, I mean, he has an unblockable shot, and you would think that would be something that he would use a lot more. I don't know, like the whole MPJ is so confusing to me.
Really is.
He's so confusing.
But here's the thing about taking more shots. When you can look at that number and say, when he shoots, it's basically as unblockable as Victor Wembanyama. So he should have even more of a green light on quote unquote, mics, like a little bit this. Because it's like, we're watching football over the weekend. This is the second day in a row talking football.
Third day.
And what do we get but that pass interference late in the game? That's just like you throw it deep and there's just a chance you get pass interference interference, right?
Yeah.
That's how the NFL works. To me, Michael Porter pulling up for some of these heavily contested threes, it's like 1 out of 10 of them is going to be a foul. Because guys are just, nowadays you can't be anywhere near the landing zone or whatever. And I'm like, if it's more known that he shoots with that kind of trigger, guys are going to be up on him more, fouling him more. It's going to open to other stuff. And on top of that, we already know you literally have to jump high enough to dunk it. You have to jump that same max to block his release point.
If I was a defender, there's no way I would even try to contest it. Because you're not jumping high enough to contest it. And if you try, you're probably going to foul him.
That's why I just up it, man. The Nuggets should have a policy with him where it's like, yeah, man, 2-3 times a game you should pull up on a handoff when you're not open.
Right.
Are we a pro-grifting podcast now? Is that what we're hoping for?
It's not about pro-grifting. It's that it's so dangerous to contest that you won't. And so he's going to get even more wide open.
This is what James Harden operates off of. That's the jump back, step back. But he should, obviously, he should be doing more. Michael Porter Jr., in general, that's the storyline with him is he needs to be more assertive. But he's already got the reputation that he shoots all the time anyway. So I don't know where
he is really one of the only players that you think about who jumps high on their 3-pointer.
Jumps so
high.
Nobody
jumps high. You know?
Well, Cam Thomas jumps 2.22 feet, which is hilarious to me. He's 6'3".
Wow.
But I don't think I can jump that high in general. And he does it on every three. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. I mean, you just don't think of other shooters and you're like, oh, yeah, that guy jumps really high off the ground.
Yeah.
Other than Michael Porter. That's something that's synonymous with him.
Devin Vassell was another sneaky player that was on this list, and I had to go back. But he has that, standing reach is 8'9". So when he shoots, it's a high shot, but his arms are so long that it kind of makes sense. But
the other part of it is Michael Porter is huge.
Yeah,
he's 6'11".
Yeah. So, little detail for you. Michael Porter, basically Victor Wembanyama when it comes to elevating on his shot.
Just stop there. Basically Victor Wembanyama.
Basically Victor Wembanyama. All right, let's take a break on the other side. Let's go back. Let's rewind the clock, shall we?
Let's do it. Shout out to our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing. If you have any roofing needs, it's got to be Red Hawk. There's no other choice.
What are we talking about?
Red Hawk Roofing, quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time. They are Colorado's best estimators and contractors. They're huge DNVR supporters as well. They're Denver people. They're local. They roof for Denver sports teams. They're here at the bar cheering on the Nuggets, the Avs, the Broncos. Free, no obligation roof and property inspections. Free in-depth photo reports for all inspections. Supporting your local teams means also supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. So if you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, if you just want to have them out there to give an inspection, check it out, see if you have any holes you need plugging or anything, they are your guys.
Just invite them over to watch football.
Roofing. Yeah, talk sports with them. Talk about Michael Porter Jr.
His
jumping on all his
dude.
3-pointers. 720-771-8921. Tell them DNVR sent you.
Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. And Eric, when you were at the Broncos game the other day, did you sit around with all your fellow Broncos fans and be like, I wish I had orange and blue sunglasses that I could show everybody how much I love the Denver Broncos?
Well, I've been looking at Bo Nix through orange and blue colored sunglasses.
Well, there you go. You might as well buy some literal orange and blue.
Cool.
He might actually look a little bit better. You can pick out your favorite team's colors. They probably have that for you in a variety of styles. I've got several pair. I've told you guys this before. I stock because I forget things. Every room in my house has Shady Rays.
Come on.
It's a true story. In my car, in my backpack, and in my house, I have Shady Rays.
In your bathroom?
Not my bathroom. I'm saying everywhere I go, so I always make sure I have a pair. You can do the same. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving away their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. What do you got?
Jeff Morton. Rewind the clock. That's my theme song.
He's back. Jeff in the chat.
We got to get Jeff back on, man.
Can we have him on in the past?
Yeah. This was on not too long ago. Revisiting some predictions. The general manager survey is where we're going to start.
Perfect.
The GM survey circa 2018-19 edition. And let's just take a scroll down some of the big things that were predictive going forward.
Let's do it.
Number one question I have for you. If you were starting a franchise today being 2018, if you were starting a franchise today and could sign any player in the NBA, who would it be? Number one, Giannis. Makes sense. At that time, he'd already won. Had he won an MVP yet? No, he had not. He was about to win his first MVP. Anthony Davis, number two. Interesting.
Was he on the Lakers?
He was on the Pelicans.
Oh.
Both of those have won a championship.
That is true. Kevin Durant.
No championship.
LeBron James, some people still said. Actually, not wrong. He won a championship since then as well. Steph Curry, only 7%, by the way. Also won a championship, although also missed the whole season. Joel Embiid, 3%.
No championship.
And there you go. And that is the entire list. If you went to the year before, the winner was Karl Anthony Towns. Ooh. So if you go 6 years back, people would number one start their team around Karl Anthony Towns.
And Tim Connolly was like, it's not a bad idea.
What's funny about this list is they were right about literally every single player. Just miss Jokic. Giannis, Durant, LeBron, Steph, Embiid really do define the last 5 years. Anthony Davis, to some extent, I mean, he's a good player, really good player. The only guy they're really missing is Jokic.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Luka was a rookie this year, so he wasn't even in the league yet.
This was after Jokic's first playoffs.
Yeah,
after they beat the Spurs and lost to the Blazers in 7 games, and Jokic was pretty phenomenal in that playoff run.
Sure was.
He had some signature games. I mean, he had 40-something points on the road in Game 6 against the Spurs.
Right.
In the first round.
In a loss.
He had the monumental 4 overtime game against the Blazers. He had some big games in that series too.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I don't think we can be too indignant about it, but it is funny to think that 5 years ago was not that long and Jokic was not on the radar.
I love the idea of us getting indignant about a 5-year-old list.
Well,
we're like, son of a biscuit.
Well, hold on a second. Jokic won MVP 3 of the next 5 years.
Well, right.
And he wasn't even on the list. That just shows you that was the knee of the curve. That was right where Jokic mania took over. It's kind of funny. Which player is most likely to have a breakout 2018-2019 season?
I think it was Jokic, yeah.
Number one, Jamal Murray.
Wow.
Number one was Jamal Murray.
Because you're saying that this came out after that playoff run?
After his very first one, which is kind of funny because it wasn't like...
I mean, he won the series in a sense for the Nuggets against the Spurs.
Right.
Like
he had a very up and down playoffs.
He did, but this was the time. This was in actuality Jamal's coming out party where he showed you exactly who he was. Where in a big moment he's going to shine and then not do a lot. The
only thing is his numbers going into that year 16.7 points per game, and after it 18.2. His breakout was 1.5 points per game increase year over year.
Breakout
3 point. I guess the assist 3.4 to 4.8, pretty good. And then the shooting splits, basically the exact same efficiency year to year. He actually went down in efficiency. So it's weird to think back to, man. The original Murray hype came right then, and it didn't necessarily pay off in a breakout year. Obviously, he got better. Number 2, Brandon Ingram. That's a swing and a miss. Number 3, Jason Tatum. Okay. Tied for number 4, Aaron Gordon.
Wow.
Dang.
Aaron Gordon in 2018
no wonder the Nuggets won
was viewed as a breakout star. Isn't that wild? On par with Kawhi Leonard, Lauri Markkanen, Ben Simmons, DeJounte Murray.
Leonard in Toronto, too.
In Toronto, and then Kyle Kuzma. Also receiving votes, Markelle Fultz, Donovan Mitchell, Kelly Oubre, Josh Richardson, Dennis Smith Jr., Karl Anthony Towns. So this one is where we get predicting breakout stars is way harder, it turns out.
Yeah. Who would be your prediction for next year?
The breakout star of this upcoming year?
Yeah.
Man,
Is it Jamal Murray?
I'd have to sit and think about who I think. I'll bet you I could come up with an answer that I really have to do. You talk amongst yourself. I'll figure it out.
Chet.
Huh?
Chet Holmgren?
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that one for sure.
Or Jalen Williams.
Somebody on the Thunder.
One of those two players.
Yep.
I would argue Jalen Williams already broke out.
Oh, he did not break out. He's not...
Who?
Jalen Williams. He's like a...
He did too. I think he broke out.
No, he did not break out. He's not the casual... Like, you don't speak about him the same way you talk about
So you're
Luka,
talking about different things. Impact versus star recognition. Like, I don't know if
he's not been recognized. He's just like a...
Franz Wagner.
The Wagner
But he's already broken out.
Wagner's
Wagner's already made the leap, though, I think, that people expect.
It's just there's a thing between the breakouts, like a star, like becoming part of like the normal conversation of these are the top players. I mean, there's lots of good guys in the NBA, but it could also be like this could be Paolo's year to like really make that big leap to be part of the main conversation.
Any part of you think it could be Josh Giddey?
It could be, man. Like Josh Giddey is deeply maligned, but although I don't think so. He was good in the Olympics. He was really like surprisingly good in the Olympics.
He's a good player.
He is.
I don't know if he's leap.
He's going to put up numbers on a bad team.
Yeah.
Or a mediocre team.
Maybe we'll try to think of our answer more in depth here in a little bit. But nonetheless, predictive, it's horrible. Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, DeJounte Murray, Ben Simmons. Like, there's some not just misses, but way off misses.
Basically, anyone that played for the Philadelphia 76ers at some point.
So true.
So on this, you also have who it was the year before.
Yep.
And for starting a franchise, it was Towns.
Yeah.
And for breakout season, it was also Towns.
Towns' stock might have never been higher than 2018.
My God.
Was he the number one pick like what, the year before or
2 years before.
prior? Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. That's about when you expect like he's had his rookie season.
He was supposed to take over the league.
Yeah.
He should if he wasn't if not for his personality.
You guys will enjoy this one. Who is the best center in the NBA?
Okay, Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis with 40%. Joel Embiid next with 33%. Karl Anthony Towns with 7%.
Dude, this thing is,
and now we have also receiving votes. Giannis, Boogie,
not even a center,
Drummond,
okay,
Marc Gasol, Al Horford, and Jokic each got one vote. Jokic 5 years ago, he won 3 MVPs in the next 5 years. And at that moment, he was tied for 10th.
With Andre Drummond.
For center with Andre Drummond. It's like, it feels like this has been long. It feels like that was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That was only 5 years ago.
The wild thing is that we were all like super down with Jokic before this.
Of course.
This is when we got for me anyway, this is when I got involved in this level.
Yeah.
Like I was like, man, this guy's incredible.
We were already in. Yeah.
This is how far off the NBA or how far off of the radar of the NBA Denver just is.
That's wild.
DeMarcus Cousins, Drummond. Drummond. Can you imagine there's a GM out there that's like, Drummond or Yoke? I don't know, man.
You need a big body out there. Need a big body.
Rebounder.
All-time Hall of Fame rebounder. Should we do one more here?
Rebound rate.
For the break. Which rookie will be the best player in 5 years? Number 1, DeAndre Ayton.
So this was after
That's the number one.
Those guys had played a year? Or
I believe this is going into their rookie years. In. Tied for number 1, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Where's Luka?
Number 3, Luka Doncic.
God.
Then number 4, tie Marvin Bagley and Kevin Knox.
Wow.
Number 6, Wendell Carter Jr.
Yikes.
And the best part is, the previous year, the guy that they picked was Josh Jackson. You know what we're really bad at predicting? Rookies.
I think we've gotten a little better at this one.
So if you get drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers or the Phoenix Suns, there's a good chance that people are going to hype you up and you're going to flame out.
Absolutely flame out. But it is even funny that coming into that year, because the revisionist history was,
Josh Jackson.
You knew Luka Doncic was so good. But the truth is, even the GMs were like, I don't know, Ayton will be better.
Yeah.
Ayton came in and was good. Just because he played a traditional center role. I mean, our current paradigm of the European influx of players, I think required a mental shift from the coaches and the NBA itself to sort of allow them to play in a different way. Luka plays in a way that they just weren't ready for. Jokic plays in a way they weren't ready. They just couldn't wrap their mind around it. Ayton's just like a center that can do a push shot from 5 feet away. So that's center. That's what a center looks like.
Well, he looks
right
the part too.
That's what I mean.
A big reason why he was drafted 1.
All right, let's take a break.
Didn't look the part.
Let's take a break. On the other side, we got a couple more from this, as well as a top 50 list that we can go through from 2018. Has some very hilarious names.
Let's go one by one.
I can't wait till the portion of the show where we make our own predictions.
It's coming up. Coming up in that segment as well.
Guys, if you need flooring, Empire Today is who you need to call. You can see in our beautiful Studio A here, they did the floors, and there's a lot of moving parts here, a lot of couches, chairs get moved,
It's a lot of
tables.
scraping parts. Yeah.
There was a freaking pole, or these columns that are gorgeous, but hard to put a floor down around if you don't know what you're doing.
The floors still look immaculate. They look great, and they've been in for a while. We got these in a while ago, so we can vouch. Empire Today, the best at what they do, the best place to get new flooring. They have a great virtual floor designer on their website. You just snap a picture of the room where you're putting your floor in, and you can see how that floor is going to look with that virtual floor designer. Yep. They're great to work with. They're great at what they do. Yep. They're absolute experts in their field. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can get $350 off when you use the promo code DNVR. That's a big discount. $350 off when you use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. If you need floors, home, office, wherever it might be, Empire Today.
From the floor to the road, Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. You guys know trucks have always been part of Toyota's DNA. They've built durable legends, just destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. Talk about it all the time, but went up over Trail Ridge Road over the weekend in my Toyota Highlander, no problem. Took it as easily as you could take driving down I-25. Actually, maybe easier. I-25, I-70, really rough.
Oh, yeah.
Got potholes everywhere. You need a Tundra just to go on I-70. Yeah. Whether you're in the city or trying to get away from it all like I am this time of year, Toyotas are perfect for you. Perfect crossover car, riding around Denver and riding around the more rugged areas of Colorado. So check them all out. You guys know my take. I think the Tacoma is the prettiest truck in the world.
That is your take, yeah. You own that take.
I do own that take.
I don't think you own that take. I think that's a lot of people feel this way.
No, nobody feels it more than I feel it. I feel it the most. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota and Boulder, Group Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, that's my spot. Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official vehicle of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR. Mm-hmm. All right, back here, segment 3. Don't forget we have our 3-on-3 tournament coming up on October 5th. You're going to want to sign up on thednvr.com/events. $50 for a team. You can come in and play against us. We'll probably also do a Sombor Shuffle challenge. We did that last time.
What about a Michael Porter Jr. jumping on your jump shot challenge?
Oh, I like that one. We have to we'll put up a 2-foot platform that you have to jump onto and shoot.
Hopefully we can make more than 9 Sombor Shuffles combined.
Last time we did this, we only made 1.
Oh, man.
Combined out of 25 people trying. Nobody made one. It's pretty amazing. So it should be a really good time. And then also I want to tease tomorrow, Ogi Stojakovic, Nuggets assistant coach, going to be coming in this very studio, sitting in one of these very chairs and dishing on what it was like coaching Serbia and Jokic this summer, obviously his entire experience with Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, and obviously get his perspective on this upcoming year. So tomorrow should be an absolute banger. That's going to be
awesome, man.
Absolute banger. By the way, Ogi, people don't know this. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Ogi was very helpful and instrumental in 100 Invisible Threads. He really was the one that put us on the right path when we went out to Serbia. So can't wait to talk to him. All right, let's get back into this. Looking back. Biggest rookie steal from that draft. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won with 27%. That was correct.
Wow.
Next
Good
was
call, GMs.
Svi Mikhailuk on the Lakers.
Not a great
steal. The Lakers got themselves a steal.
Which
classic Lakers second round steal.
Are we sure that doesn't mean who will steal from the team that drafts them?
Wendell Carter Jr. 10%, not bad. I
gotta go back to Svi Mikhailuk. That seems like a really random entry in here.
Really
you
does.
got a bunch of lottery picks, and then the 47th pick. Was that a big draft night story? How he fell to 47?
Every time the Lakers pick anybody, it's a steal. Who's the steal of this year? Dalton Connect. It's just he's a Laker.
He kind of was a steal.
Well, it's your guy. Michael Porter Jr. also 10%, so tied with Wendell Carter, which is kind of cool to look back on. Gary Trent Jr. also 10%. Luka Doncic 7%. Is Luka Doncic a steal? He was the 3rd pick.
Yes,
I agree. That was a steal.
It was a steal because they not only got the pick, but they made the trade. They all things considered, the Mavs absolutely fleeced the Hawks.
And then Kevin Knox, 7%.
Dude, Kevin Knox was having a big preseason that year.
He had a big one game at Summer League that year, I remember.
How far down were we? Who is the best international player in the NBA?
Oh, no. Lord.
Number 1, Giannis, 73% of the votes. Number 2, Kristaps Porzingis, 10%. Number 3, Luka Doncic coming into his rookie year. And number 4.
Not good enough to go number 1.
And number 4, Nikola Jokic.
Dude, you want to understand.
I'm sorry, tied for 3. And then Marc Gasol right behind that with half the votes, 3%.
Marc Gasol, who was about to retire pretty much.
100%.
This was really the start of our villain arc on this show.
Really
where
was.
we're just like, man, screw that. What is everybody watching? Like, why won't anyone pay attention to this guy?
This was 2 years after Jokic put 40 on Kristaps in the Garden. 2 years, you know? Like, come on, guys. Which team has the most promising young core? I love this one.
Oh, no.
Number 1, Philadelphia. You know, they got Fultz, they got Simmons, you know, they've got, you know, they have Embiid. Number 2, Boston Celtics. I mean, I guess they kind of got that one right.
They just have Tatum and Brown?
Tatum and Brown. Who else was a young core member back then? Marcus Smart was part of the young core. So, number 3, the Chicago Bulls.
Lonzo.
Yeah.
I don't think they had Lonzo
didn't
yet.
have Lonzo.
It was Zach LaVine. Was it even Zach LaVine? It might not have even been him.
Who was it?
Who was the Chicago Bulls of 20?
Andre Drummond.
It's Andre Drummond for sure.
Oh, yeah. Andre
It's
Drummond.
actually hilarious to think that we don't even remember the Bulls of 5 years ago.
Can you look this
Did
up?
you find it, Kel?
I have the roster.
Who are the young guys?
Lauri Markkanen.
Okay.
Zach LaVine.
Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen.
Otto Porter. That's really the 3.
Otto Porter wasn't young at that point.
I know, but younger.
Really? There was no other young players there. That was a top core.
Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen.
Tied for 3rd was also the Phoenix Suns, which is right. They had Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker. Remember, they had that young team, Ayton. They had some pieces. They made it to a finals. Also receiving votes, Denver and the Utah Jazz.
Let's go.
We got 1 vote, along with Utah. Who was their young core? Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, which, to be fair, they had some really good playoff series.
They had some good years.
Yeah, I mean, it was. That was a good. They were there on the.
I'm saying yes, but they're tied with Denver. They made it to the second round one time.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, their young core is not on their
Just
team
to show
anymore.
again, Nuggets fans can be a little like Jokic defenders can be annoying on the timeline,
Yeah,
but the
this
truth
is
is
why
5
we're the way
years
we
ago,
are.
yeah, when you go back, it's like, oh, I remember.
Yeah,
You're right.
You forced us to be this.
You
it's your
forced us,
fault.
man. Another fun one. Which player is the best passer in the NBA? Number 1.
Number 1 is
LeBron James.
okay. Oh.
Number 2, Chris Paul. Number 3, Rajon Rondo, which is kind of funny, like that he was still in the league at this point.
It's all point guards. Right?
Number 4, Ben Simmons.
Is he even a good passer? Was he even a good passer?
He's a good passer.
Really?
Number 5, John Wall. And then also receiving votes, Lonzo Ball, Steph Curry, James Harden, Ricky Rubio. Yoke didn't get a single
Not
vote
a
5 years
single
ago.
vote.
Not a single vote as best
He
passer.
won an MVP less than 24 months after this.
He won an MVP.
Not even a single vote from a single GM for best passer.
And who has the best basketball IQ? LeBron James, 70%. Chris Paul, 17%. Rajon Rondo, Steph Curry, Al Horford got votes. No Jokic for best basketball IQ. I'm telling you, 5 years ago.
When I think of best basketball IQ, I think of Al Horford.
I mean, he does
That's who
have
I
it,
think of.
like role
Just
player
the
way.
best.
How do we feel?
I feel fired up. I'm about to be mad online.
Starting 5 years ago, I posted 5-year-old rage.
Yeah.
I feel like this is correct in that, like, no one knows what's going on ever.
Yeah.
It's great when you look back at any set of predictions and how comically wrong they are all the time before the playoffs start. Who's going to win? Blah blah blah. All this stuff where the experts explain to you the facts of basketball and why it's interesting because none of them ever pan out. And it's actually fun to watch the chaos ensue.
Well, what's interesting is the top level outside of Jokic, again, which was clearly a blind spot to everyone, but outside of Jokic, the top level stuff was mostly right. The contenders, the best players. It was all the speculative stuff. It's the next, it's the young guys, it's young cores. Those were the things people were way off on. If we go back to this is now NBC's top 25 players ranking. Number 1, Giannis. I think at that time that was smart.
Sure.
Number 2, Anthony Davis. I'll tell you what. That's wild how Anthony
When
Davis.
he was still in New Orleans.
While he was still in New Orleans, viewed as the number 2 player in the NBA. Yeah, that's all. Number 3, Luka Doncic. Number 4, Nikola Jokic. So it's funny because people think Luka is catching Jokic. To be honest, 5 years ago, he was actually ahead of Jokic somehow.
That's hilarious.
Zion Williamson, number 5. Kawhi Leonard, 6. Karl Anthony Towns, 7. Donovan Mitchell, Ben Simmons, and Trae Young rounding out the top 10. And then
Ben Simmons in the top 10.
Oh, this is I'm sorry. This number is projecting forward. This was from 5 years ago projecting forward. They had Joel Embiid 11, so they were projecting him to fall off by this point. Tatum 12, Devin Booker 13, De'Aaron Fox, and number 15, Jamal Murray. 5 years ago, people seemed to be higher on Jamal Murray's upside than Nikola Jokic's, or relative to expectation at the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just, again, the real thing that it just points out is it's just no one knew how to evaluate what they were looking at. Like, it's just
Nobody knew
so
what they
anomalous, and it's so difficult to wrap your head around that people would just like, it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's a nice little player.
It does show you, though, like last year, Murray came in on ESPN's rank at like, do you remember? It was like 17 or 18 or something.
Oh, man, coming off the championship, I was saying it was going to be the year of Jamal Murray. I mean, I was there too. It seemed like it was all going to come together, you know?
So it's such a weird arc that he's had, you know, kind of
The weirdest
arc. If we go down, I'm trying to find the other iconic Nuggets here. They had Paul George and Kevin Durant 5 years as 29 and 30. I think Kevin Durant for sure is like top 15. And that goes to show you that I think one thing we've learned over the last 5 years is these guys are aging way more gracefully than we thought.
For sure.
Steph Curry was 31 on this list. Have we even gotten to LeBron yet? Here's an interesting one. Number 36, they did a top 50. Number 36, Aaron Gordon was projected to be number 36. Wow. Gary Harris, 38th.
Man.
That was coming off his best year. 2018, that was prime Gary Harris.
Yeah.
LeBron James, 40. God, man.
Gary Harris
is that his
better
age?
than LeBron.
And 40,
And
yeah,
he's
both.
what, easily top 15?
Probably top 10, man.
If I'm LeBron, I'm clipping that and posting that on Instagram.
His own billboard material.
Yeah.
And that does it. Amani Bates at 49 is another one you should have a good time with.
Where would you guys rank Aaron Gordon? So if they projected him at 36.
I think that he's typically around the 40 to 55
Yeah.
range is where he kind of finds himself.
So that's not crazy
that
far off.
But I
not that
guarantee you the people who were writing that envisioned him playing an entirely different style than he's playing right now.
So if we start to do this now, we take no lessons from this last one, and we make our own predictions on record now.
Yeah, let's make sure that this is easily findable and referenceable.
Let's start with this. Who is on the team in 2 years, and who is on the team in 5 years? It's two different answers. So, Harrison, which Nuggets do you feel are most confident you can say are going to be on the team? 2 years.
Nikola Jokic.
Yep.
Jamal Murray.
Okay.
And the third,
In 2 years.
Michael Porter Jr.
Wow. And everybody else you think
I'd
is
put-
less than that?
I feel like those are the only. Well, there's two locks. I think Jokic and Murray are as close to locks as you could have. And then I'd say Porter is next.
Is this just because of the contracts they have?
Yeah, he's under contract. Aaron Gordon isn't. And it seems like probably a pretty immovable contract, or as close to it, if there is those things.
I think Peyton Watson is a lock.
You think he's a lock?
Well, you just never know, but I think
He's as close to a lock. He's in the top tier, yeah.
I mean, both Christian Braun, Peyton Watson feel like I don't. What does Christian Braun's contract look like? When is he up?
He's got another year, but it's an easy extension to do.
Maybe it is easy, maybe it's not. I mean, depending on the restrictions. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, I just based on strictly their contract, I would say P. Watt and Strawther.
P. Watt and Strawther. For me, the Yoke one is interesting because I do just look at now. I mean, Denver obviously is going to want him at all costs, but you do look at it and say Denver can't go back. It does feel like if this year is a step back, it will be 2 years in a row of stepping backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Does that mean you're a lock going forward? I don't know. So that's a real question here. But nonetheless, I still think he's close to a lock. Jamal Murray's the funny one, man. We're one bad year away from Murray. Like, if Murray has another underwhelming year, I think that next summer the conversation is about looking to trades. Not necessarily that he's a lock to be traded, but that Denver is, like, open to moving him.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of pressure riding on this year. Yeah. Like, this totally, if the Nuggets, if they're not what we expect them to be, if Jamal Murray doesn't get back to, like, that guy in the playoffs, trading him next summer, that's not off the table.
I agree that I think Peyton Watson likely is long for here, but he's another one that, I worry about his arc this year in terms of opportunity. Like, what's he going to be given the chance to do? It's another one that he could look around and say, hey, I redshirted for you. And then I had 2 years where I was just told to stand in the corner and not do anything. I don't want an extension here. I want out. And that's another scenario Denver can find themselves in. Another scenario for P. Watt is that he's good enough and Denver could love to have him, but he's better as a trade piece because some other team's about to max him. Like, he's really grown into a player. You know, somewhere in between there is likely what's most likely to happen, but who knows? What about 5 years?
Likely to be on the team in 5 years? Probably Jokic.
That's it.
Probably,
man.
I'm gonna say
5 years is a long time. 5 years is the entire existence of DNVR.
I think that Jokic and Murray is equally as likely to be here in 5 as he is in 2. Meaning, I think the decision on Murray comes this year.
Yeah.
That if he's good, it's like, that's our guy. He's been inconsistent in the past, but it's our guy. And if he's bad, it's like he's too inconsistent for us to build around for the next 5 years. So I actually think that the 2 and the 5 are the same number.
5 years ago, the Nuggets had 3 players that are still on the team now.
Jokic.
4 if you count Vlatko.
Porter. And well, why would we not count Vlatko?
Jokic, Murray, Porter, and Vlatko. But I think the Nuggets are definitely the exception to that across the league.
Yeah.
You know, I doubt many teams, the Warriors, but I doubt many teams have had 4 players for a 5-year span like that.
What about Jokic in 2 years as a player? Eric, what type of player is he in 2 years?
He's probably at his absolute apex.
So even better than now.
I think so. I mean, he just gets stronger and more clever, and his skill is not something any of us expect to take any kind of step back. It's the athleticism that you look at, but his game obviously not predicated on that. I just think that he's going to be like he'll just be like in his Marc Gasol era, where he's just immovable, smart, cagey. It just feels like that's the right arc for him.
Is he still an MVP candidate?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Harrison, 2 years.
Yeah, I wonder if he's not quite as dominant of an individual offensive force in terms of like scoring in 2 years as he is right now. Because I mean, he is 29. He's going to be 30 pretty soon.
He'll be
this will be early next season.
Yeah, so we're talking his age 32 season basically.
Yeah. I don't think he'll be as good then as he is right now. I think he'll still be an MVP candidate. I think his game could look a little different. But in 2 years, I've got to think like I don't think he'll be averaging 27 points a game.
I think I agree with you in that. So if we look at Tim Duncan's age 32 season, it was 2008-9. That was after the main run of championships, and they obviously had the later one as a different version of themselves. So age 32, you probably are talking about. I think he will be as good or better as a playoff performer, but worse as a regular season carrier. And I think that's what's part of what makes Jokic an MVP and what makes him so good is that he can be great literally every night. Everybody's hurt. He's on the court. Plays 8 games in a row and he can carry. I just don't think he'll be able to do that. I think the numbers in the regular season will be down in large part because they'll just be games. Unlike right now, like 2 years ago, we talked about Jokic. It felt like he didn't have a single bad game all year. He just went through it. Last year, there's a couple spotty ones here or there. I think that's what we'll have in 2 years. It's just a little bit more, not a lot, but maybe 10 games a year where you're like, Jokic wasn't very good tonight. Just didn't have the ability to overtake the game. But in the playoffs, I don't think it'll be any difference. I think he'll have it every night still. 5 years?
Oh, 5 years? I think he'll be shifting into, later career Tim Duncan.
Totally.
Where he definitely tones it back even more in the regular season.
Yeah.
But he still has those peaks in the playoffs.
Right.
There was some video on Twitter, maybe like last week, where it was Tim Duncan. I think he was 37, 38 years old against the Lob City Clippers in the playoffs. And he took it to DeAndre Jordan. And DeAndre Jordan, I looked it up, was all defense first team that year, was like third in defensive player of the year. Tim Duncan, late in his career, took it to DeAndre Jordan, made him look like a fool. So I feel like that is what Jokic is going to be. He's going to have Tim Duncan's arc.
Yeah. By the way, I could see that happening even this year. You go up against Chet Holmgren, has just an awesome year. Victor Wembanyama has an awesome year. But it's like, in a playoffs, though, are you ready for Jokic? Victor Wembanyama, Defensive Player of the Year. All right, first round of the playoffs, and Jokic just murders him. And it's like, he's good. But the playoffs, Jokic knows exactly how to go at him.
Yeah.
5 years?
He'll be 35.
35. So, I think that category, that feels exactly correct. He's the Tim Duncan. I mean, he's mentioned it before. That's the guy he looks up to. I mean, LeBron James, all the guys that have shown like great ability to stick around have altered their games to be able to do so. Yeah, I imagine his regular season will be much less impressive, but he's got still the high level that you can go
Playoffs
to.
in 2023, Jokic to me was very good every night and great. Of the 20 games, maybe 10 of them, he was great.
Yeah.
This is Hall of Fame level. I think in 5 years, that's probably more like 3 or 4. If you would all the way through to winning a title, I think that's probably more of a 3 or 4 great games. And then I think the very good is there.
Yeah.
But I just think when you look at that Lakers series, how many halves, games, shots, was it just like, my God, this guy's out of his mind tonight.
Right.
The whole Sun series was just 53 points, 30, 20, 10. Was crazy. I don't think he'll have that at the volume in 5 years, but I do think he'll have 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to calculate when I'm going to stop being a Nuggets fan.
It's 6, 7 years.
5 years, 6 years.
6
I think
years.
you've got 5 years still.
Okay, I'm going to put this
think
in
you
my
have 5.
calendar. Stop being a Nuggets fan. All right.
Jamal Murray in 2 years. This is the biggest mystery box in the world.
My God, what about Jamal Murray this year? What about Jamal Murray right now?
What about Jamal Murray next week when they open training camp? Who
God
knows?
damn it. What is Jamal
2
Murray?
years, do you want to take a best guess? I mean,
the best guess is he's very similar to the guy he is now.
almost certain.
If you look at Jamal Murray's stats the last 3 years, it's pretty much had the same regular season statistically.
Yeah.
21 points a game, 20 points a game, 21 points a game. On the Nuggets, it's tough seeing him taking a massive statistical leap, too.
Yeah.
He could change some things about his game. He could go into that takeover mode a little bit more often. I'm sure Nikola Jokic would like to see that in the regular season. I think in the regular season, he'll be about the same guy. And in the playoffs, that's the bigger question. I'm personally betting on him getting back to playoff Murray.
5 years. Here's my thing about Murray for 5 years. I've always said that they remind me of Kobe and Shaq. Murray is younger than him. Murray will be, 32 or 33 at this stage. I do think the best scenario for the Nuggets is that there is the end of the Jokic era is where Murray actually becomes the better player, or at least the equal. If Jokic, okay, I'm going to do more setting the table, this or that, but Murray is a better player, that he has grown in the ability to be the number one scoring option, and now it's he has taken 5-6 more shots than Jokic a game, but he's so good at it that transition happened naturally. So I hope that's the arc, because I think that would be, for Murray to sort of redeem himself. We know he wants to be in Denver. He's talked about it his whole career. To almost redeem himself in a way to the extent that he needs it. Oh, those lines intersecting at some point would be the coolest part of that story arc.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
I'm not counting on it, but I'd love it. And then if we go forward, Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther. You know the meme that everybody always does. Every fan base, every NBA fan base in the world has the Splinter with the 4 Ninja Turtles, and then later on, Splinter's old and the Ninja Turtles are taking care of him. That meme to be Project Dynasty, if it were to happen, that was what it is that in 2 years, not even that far out, 2 years, Christian Braun, Julian Strawther, and Peyton Watson, that might be your 2, 3, 4, of your starting lineup.
Yeah.
And the question is, 2 years from now is a long time. It's not this year. It's not next year. It's the year after. It is possible that those guys are just good enough to replace the best version of the Nuggets in this era.
God, it's so thinking this far out, it just really makes you realize how pot committed the Nuggets are to sort of their current direction. Although you never know. Trades happen. There could be a seismic trade that an Aaron Gordon style trade that comes over. That maybe Jamal Murray goes out. I can't imagine a scenario on earth where Nikola Jokic would ever be even in the conversation for that. But I could see them trading Jamal Murray. I could see them trading Michael Porter Jr. I could see I don't know. It's crazy though.
Even Deron Holmes, you might throw in there. I know he's obviously going to be a redshirt this year, but 2 seasons would give him 1 full season, I guess. So it probably won't be that much, but maybe a big part of your core is those 4 guys.
Christian Braun, he's sounds like it's going to be a starter this season. Peyton Watson, the final form, him in 5 years, you would think he'd be a starter too, just with how his trajectory is, how young he is, how much better he's getting. Julian Strawther seems like the sixth man of the group.
Deron Holmes is a little early. If he played this year, you could say that would be his third year. Maybe that is a guy that you could plug in there. Ideally, he does the stuff Aaron Gordon does, somewhat similar. But with a redshirt year than 1 year, it's hard to say.
Like in 5 years, if the Nuggets' best players are Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Peyton Watson, Christian Braun, Julian Strawther, who knows?
Who knows? And then lastly, the best teams in 2 years. So stepping outside a couple years, who do we think is going to be good? Like for real good. This is obviously
in 2
impossible.
years?
In 2 years. Not this year, not next year, but after. I think you start with San Antonio. Victor Wembanyama will be in going into year 4. You would expect the Spurs to have built something around him by then.
I was going to start with the Celtics, probably.
Oh man,
I don't know, man. The Celtics, they're not young. 2 years from now, they'll still be old, and that team's going to be so expensive. We'll see if they actually pay for it year after year after year. Also, Kristaps Porzingis is healthy in 2 years.
Probably the Timberwolves.
Why?
Because Tim Connolly's a maniac and he always finds good guys. And Anthony Edwards is the man, and they just who's the guy they just got that's like a
Dillingham
might be just an absolute flamethrower.
He's vote sized.
I mean, so is Trae Young. So is you could be vote sized and make noise in this league.
I think Minnesota is way less likely to be. I mean, they could be because Anthony Edwards is great, and I agree with you.
There's obviously the Thunder you look at because there's a bunch of young guys.
Smart coach. Yeah. I heard a report the other day. I was talking to somebody in the league, not a report. I was talking to somebody in the league, and they were saying that the Thunder, the thing about them, there's all these untold stories. They don't have a lot of money, the ownership group. So he said that org operates under an enormous amount of pressure. Like, they're really smart, make good decisions, but everyone there is miserable because every expenditure is like, there's a fine-tooth comb over everything.
Can relate.
Who else? Who else do you think? I mean,
I'm trying to think, who has a really good young... the Magic.
Orlando could be there.
Yeah, they could be.
Magic could be solid.
The Knicks have probably grinded themselves to dust by then.
Definitely.
There really isn't a lot of good young talent. Houston has a bunch of talent, but they'll probably blow it.
Knuckleheads.
Yeah, actually, Utah. I don't know if Utah will rebuild this quickly because they don't have a great foundation, but they do have 40 picks between now and whenever.
Right. But it's probably too soon in 2 years.
Might be, but you always make, you get Cooper Flagg to pair with Lowry Markkanen, and then maybe you stop. You're like, all right, now we have 8 tradable first-round picks.
Yeah.
And let's speed this up, you never know.
But, I mean, it's probably does start with the Spurs.
Yeah. Spurs and Thunder, we feel most confident about.
Yeah. 2 teams in the Western Conference. Love it.
Maybe even Dallas. I mean, you have Luka. It's not that hard. They haven't made great decisions all around. Let us know in the comments who you guys think are going to be contenders 2 years from now, 5 years from now. I think those are fun questions. And let us know what you think about the Nuggets' outlook in those times. All right, we have any Super Chats, Kale? Everybody, while we read these, hit that like button for us. Do us a favor. Nugsy Bogues, what a great name.
I know, Nugsy Bogues. I saw that come in.
The Super Chats look different.
They do. The styling got messed up.
It's a whole thing. Yeah, I did a thing. We'll figure it out.
I'm more hyped. Yeah. I'm the more hyped about this year's roster than I've been since AG's first year. I don't get why people are down on them. The champs are back. All the Nuggets are good.
Let's go.
Baby.
That's the Nuggets are operating under the auspices of of disappointment right now, and it's not right. It's this is why we need to get out of the offseason and into the preseason and into the season where you actually see basketball players playing together and you're like, oh, right. They have all these good players. They play together well.
When they go to the Abu Dhabi, is it going to be the overseason?
Yeah, dude. That's going to be the overseason. I guess so.
The overseason.
What a dad joke. We got one more?
And from Cedric Exquisite, we trading Zeke hopefully within these 5.
Can you imagine if the only Nugget
it's
that's
Jokic, Murray, and Zeke.
Somehow Zeke got another extension. We're like, what?
They're like, we have to give it to somebody.
It's tradable.
It's tradable.
Yeah,
tradable contract.
Tradable contract.
Oh, my God.
Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. Ogie Stojakovic going to be right here in studio with us. I can't wait to talk to my buddy tomorrow, catch up on the offseason.
Can't wait.
Catch up on all of things Serbia. So, Serbia, tell your friends, tell your family. Ogie's in studio tomorrow. Hit that like button. We'll see you.
We all silly like the mayor.